Good morning, good morning. I'm your host, Hassan Aline.
Co-host Carl Williams.
And it's Tuesday in apartheid Michigan. Tuesday in apartheid Michigan, where you got to go to court just to get your rights. You voted on something at the polls, and the good white folks want to change. They want to take your money. Take the money that you want to pay in the school fund. Hey, Carl, isn't
That's
that, isn't
something,
that
ain't it?
amazing? Isn't
Yeah.
that amazing how we go to vote for something to take care of the schools? And they say, well, the black folks won't support the schools, and they taking our money out of the property taxes and out of the school taxes that we pay.
Yeah.
And most people don't know about it, and they take the money and do what they want to do with it.
Yeah. That's really infringement on your right to vote. I mean, if you vote for the money to for a specific purpose and for a specific thing, well, then they don't have the right to change it without a vote of the people. But they every day they changing. That's why we always talk about the Constitution and try to keep people up on these laws and what's really going on.
Well, that's where it at in the Constitution, eh?
That's right.
They say that's where it's at in the Constitution. The book that nobody wants to read. I don't know why it's a pamphlet. It's not even a book. You can call it a book if you want to. Very few people want to read it.
Well, even if you ain't gonna read it, you have it there the reference or
Well,
something.
what happened on that? Didn't they, with the court hearing yesterday?
Uh,
Was it today?
I think it's supposed to be Thursday.
Thursday?
I'm not for sure now. Don't hold me to that.
Oh,
But
well, maybe some of the listeners know what happened on that in the Constitution with the money for the school.
they haven't made no decision, as far as I know yet. But and in the paper they trying to act like they stopping progress. And it ain't even about that. It's about the way they are doing it. You can't take money from the school, what I call it is a playground, to build a stadium. Now you want to, the schools are already in dire straits. And they claim every time you look around, they claiming they need more money. Now you're going to take money intentionally from the school to build a stadium? Come on, Diamond. What we showing up is crazy. If we
From
fall for
billionaire,
this.
but that's the council.
Two billionaires.
That's the
could afford
council, though. Isn't there an election coming up? In the election, why are we voting for these bums on city council to give our money away?
it.
And
Just
they
give
don't
it
have
away.
anything to do with that.
No,
Why do they? Where do they have? Where do they get their authority to take the school money? They're not
they
with the
don't have
school.
it.
They're with the city government. So they
That's
collect the
right.
money for the school. That's all they do. So what they don't collect their own income taxes. How they gonna vote? Yeah, man, these people got nerve, don't they?
Oh yeah.
They got all
Oh
kind
yeah.
of nerve. They crazy. How is the city council gonna collect money for the schools or tell you what to do with the school money? They gonna vote to get school money to the downtown development authority, and the city of Detroit don't collect their own tax money.
Ain't that something?
The income tax money, they don't collect that. Oh, the governor got to look and see what you colored folks are doing.
Ain't that something?
And then how you gonna get out of a deficit and they counting your money? The thieves, the crooks,
Ain't that
bunch of crooks, gangsters, stealing your money. Just take your money out your pension, and it's okay. Well, they white folks. Is that something from being down south for the past or what? Where is that at? And I don't want to put it on the south. I just want to get you a little
Cause you
upset.
got some up here in the north who never went south.
That's
Are
why I
just as
say
crazy.
I don't want to put it on the south, 'cause that's where they were doing all the protesting, wasn't it?
That's right.
They were doing the protesting when it got up north. Well, a lot of northern folks went down south. They were the students, though, protest. Somebody young that didn't mind dying and didn't mind standing up for something right or wrong. They stood their ground. Where the folks now were too scared to open their mouth. They won't even say the mayor's wrong.
Mm-mm.
They won't even say the mayor's wrong with the drainage fee. They just changed the name. Change the name, call it a drainage
Drainage.
fee. And it's going down your sewer. You paying twice for the same
Oh
thing.
boy,
And
boy.
then these supposed to be educated. They quick to tell you, I'm a Dr. So and so. I'm pastor. They gonna put the doctor in front of their name. Even if they don't have a PhD, even if they don't have a doctor of divinity, they call each other doc. What's going on, doc? Hey, doc, what's happening?
Sounds good.
It sounds good, huh? Well, I didn't say I was a doctor. I just say, how you doing, doc? Yeah, they doc before they bishop. Ain't that something? Man, this is something else. But I'm trying to figure that out, ladies and gentlemen, and maybe you can help me. That's what we do here. We analyze things. We want to scrutinize what in the world's going on. Well, here's something for you to think about. We mentioned that. Mentioned that to you the other day, Carl. How the folks over the Sunday, over the weekend, and they got all in the news talking about what happened in London, like we live over there in England. They always want to bring some scare tactic, fear tactic to America via television, the news. And they sit up there, and long story short, the guy in the van drives over and kills one person or two, and he injures about 8 or 9. The Muslims got the mosque. They praying. The man, hey, these people, and so but he's not considered a terrorist.
He's not considered a terrorist.
Oh, he's just a good old white boy
White
over
boy,
there in England, one of them skinhead, one of them Nazis. You didn't know they had them over there in England. They got the skinheads, they got the Nazis over there. Yeah, same thing they got over here in America. And so they're cowards, you know, they got to be cowards. You sneaking up on somebody at a church where they going to pray. Only difference between this mayor and them guys over there and the one in 63, think about the Birmingham bombing in that church. This man ain't set off no bomb to kill people, little girls in Sunday school. He just gonna shut the church down. Well, that's what that man was doing. He was using the fear tactic. If they don't lynch you, they're gonna bomb you out, burn you out. So they say, we can't do it now. We can't. The mayor can't do that, but we're going to shut you down.
Shut you down.
With a phony tax, a fee that you already paying double for, and the preachers act like they can't count. They can't count nothing but that basket that they pass all the time. Want you to put some money in.
And you know, one thing I've asked people, I said, well, wait a minute. You talking about a drainage fee? I said, well, where's the code? Where's the statute? Where's the law that says you have to pay a drainage fee? I don't know. I said, because there is none. This is his policy. His policy
we've heard
don't
that.
oversee the Constitution, and they have made rulings on this.
Well, they're just trying to get the money. That's all this guy's trying to do is get the money. And he's not bashful about it. And, you know, they had to get all these black folks a job. You know, it's a big, why don't y'all sit down sometime and compare Donald Trump and Mike Duggan?
Oh.
And don't see if they the different.
One of the same.
Huh?
One of the same.
Where the big difference is at?
Name.
Mike Duggan open his mouth and he lying all the time. How he gonna build a neighborhood? We talked about that last week. Yeah, people don't realize how long it took them to change the so-called Cass Corridor. Midtown, they changed the name. That's all they did. Wayne State was down there all the time, buying some property here and there, extending their buildings or extending their campus through buildings that they were building down in that area on Cass. You know, I couldn't think of it last week, but it's the Plasma Center. See, they done got high tech. They want to change the name from the blood bank where all the dope fiends were at to the Plasma Center where you can go down and you pay to give away your blood now. I'm not giving them nothing. You don't give away some real blood and take phony blood. You go in the Ford somewhere and they don't give you some chemicals. They call it artificial blood. Been in the newspaper. Don't get in no car accident, no trauma where it's gonna be life-saving. You don't know if the person died from that artificial blood or what happened. Don't even know they gave it to them. Experiment.
Yeah.
Not just Ford, a whole lot of them hospitals around there. They're trying to save your life though, right? That's the excuse they're using. We trying to
save your life. Yeah, this is trying to save your life, all right.
Well, somebody had to pay for it. So some of them insurance companies paid for it. Somebody paid for it. Maybe it come out of the government grant. What
Oh
else?
yeah, let me say this before I forget. I still have some protests and objections. So we'll be at Burger King at around about 10:30. We'll be there until about 12.
Yeah, we going at 12. High
So
noon, we out of there.
right. So if you want to come by and get one and take it to your church,
Well,
it's for you too. It's for the churches, individual, or any nonprofit organization against these drainage fees.
well, I was gonna say, what were they gonna come by and get it for? Let them tax them out their church. That's the way they want to be about it. They're waiting, they're waiting on the man to say we holding off to after the election.
And then they
Well,
just
we
gonna sit there and don't do nothing.
we're
Now.
gonna wait to 2018, and then we're gonna put it on you because I have been reelected. Is that crazy?
Oh, I'm
Did
telling
they
you.
understand anything they said, young blood?
Apparently they didn't.
Had the folk be, it's amazing. It is really amazing. But look, get back to those folks over there in England that got killed at the mosque or in front of it or outside of it rather, and they caught one of the guys. The people pulled him out, drug him out of the van, and it was three people. Two got away. I'm listening to the man. Two people got away. But the news people all kept saying it's only one person. It's only one person. And I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 hours later, maybe the next day they changed it to say two people got away. But here's another thing we don't seem to understand in America. They have cameras everywhere. That street is lined with cameras. If you in your car, if you walking down the street, they saw the people in the van. Oh. So some of them was their friends probably. That's why they don't want to give the picture. You say, what do you mean friend? Like the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
Over there they call it the what? MI6? The James Bond people, the MI6, but that's for real. They got their own secret intelligence. All the countries do. What Israel called them the what? The Mossad. I started to say it's so sad. The Mossad. That's what it's called over there in Israel. So all of them got a secret service. So the MI6 secret service, they were accused of bumping off Prince Diane and that Egyptian she was marrying. That's what they're accused of. Just what you read, and it's strange though. They got killed in France. That tunnel they was in, that property was in France. So the English government had to wait till the French gave them the report. They had nothing to do with it. That's amazing. And they've had terrorist attacks for a long time in England. They call them terrorists. Over what, 40, 50 years? The Irish Republican Army, the IRA,
Yeah.
they used to set off bombs and everything over there, and they made a political point, but they part of the government now. They disavowed violence, and so they are in part of the government. But they have used those kind of tactics over there in that country. But here's the whole thing. When they set off a bomb close to the holidays like Christmas or something in London, England, to stop people from going shopping, it was Harold's department store. Harold, they're going to say Harrod, but it's Harold's department store. And that was an Egyptian. That was this guy's father that Princess Diane was going to marry. Going to marry his son, is a multi-millionaire Egyptian that owned that store chain over there. So the IRA, even though they upset with the English government, they bombed the Egyptian establishment so you wouldn't give them the money on the holiday. You would be scared to go in their store. But you could go in the Burberry's. You can go into those stores over there. Isn't it amazing how we don't know what's happening? Somebody telling us what's going on, and we never thought about it. We don't connect none of the dots. You don't even know it's a dot. We don't know what happened. We don't know that even though these people are supposed to be so anti-government, they blowing up governmental properties, and so they blew up the when they blew up that department store over there. The Egyptians were Muslim or Islamic, so they were on this rampage back then on religion. What they call it? Islamic phobia? Islamic phobia?
Phobia.
Yeah, they have a problem. But how they don't tell us that. They don't explain to us who they getting. You know, they don't want to kill everybody, just the darkies. Just the black folks. You know, that guy that shot up the people down there in that South Carolina.
Yeah.
What's his name? Roof. The Roof man, Damon Roof. Yeah, it was named Roof.
Yeah.
The one they gave to Burger King. The police, when they arrested him, they stopped. Oh man, you did a good job. Aren't you hungry? Don't you want to eat? Come on, let me get you a Burger King.
I never heard of that.
Huh? Oh yeah, oh, man, them people in the South don't be playing, man. They for real. They don't have any shame. They just come out and tell you. They used to say, "Howdy, boy." Hi, N-word. Hi, Negroes. They didn't call us Negroes. You know, what they call us rhyme with trigger. Yeah, hey, Trigger. How you doing? That's how they did. You know, you was one. They good old boys, and they didn't feel like they were insulting you. So that was strange. You know, you go down south to visit. Oh, they speak. Oh, them white folk, the ones up here, they don't speak. You know, they walk around, don't speak to you, act like they don't even see you. But the ones down south, howdy, boy. How you, Trigger? How you Negroes doing? How you coons doing today? Ain't it hot? Ooh, where you from? Where you up north? Where you from, boy? Oh, y'all know about it. You been down south on vacation? Oh, you know about it. If you don't, go to Alabama, Mississippi. Go down there. You can go down to Mississippi right now and probably get the same treatment. We know you're going to get the same treatment because it's Trump time.
Oh, yeah.
Donald Trump is the president. And what did he say? You know, they showed some of them old clips. He said, yeah, you know, in the old days, that guy over there, the people doing all that protesting, they'd been and got roughed up.
Yeah. Just as casual, just like he said.
He said nothing. And they always talk about inciting the crowd to riot. Don't y'all know it's against the law to incite people to riot, to get out there and tell them to burn up something, shoot somebody? If you're black, it's a crime. The white folks, it don't matter. We're going to take some calls here. Caller, thanks for holding. You on there. Caller, go right ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. Yeah, you know, on the school situation, I hope that the people don't be surprised with the court decision. We've been seeing the court carrying out that decision since 1996 when the DIA was taken from us. So I'm not surprised to see the court abuse its authority and violate the constitutional separation of powers. So when we seen that yesterday, and the news media, as you all pointed it out, says that Detroit, that the lawsuit was about whether we should pay for the Pistons moving here, when it wasn't about that. You all pointed out it was about we voted for our tax money to go toward our children's education that's right now suffering with overcrowded, shipped out of the district like dogs, got mold in their classroom and leaky roof. Instead of our money going for that, and the news media didn't say that. Then our money is going for that entertainment, hockey, racist hockey town in the new white city in Detroit. So what it tells me, that the courts is not the way you get redress when the courts are bought by corporations and banks. And it tells me, when I hear the news media is starting what the thing's about, we need to build a communication in the neighborhoods among the people. And we need to organize, and we need to organize fast because we live in an inverse relationship. As they progress, we regress. And we are being sent right now as I speak to reservations they call suburban black enclaves. And if we don't stop playing as men and women and get matured, we will spend all our time organizing door to door through zip codes. And that's the only way to stop the courts, to stop the politicians, stop the preachers, and all them that come on against us and our children. So I think that this is a learning process for us. We don't. If I hear people talking about taking it to court, I know that they are the enemy because they are not analyzed in the court. You say analyze. When you analyze the court and its activity, then so we must do that, Hassan and Carl. We must organize the people, and we can't take it to the legislator because the legislator are the ones who done it to us. So I just say it's a learning curve, and let's organize.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Well, he's right about organizing. You got to organize. You got to get your people out to vote.
Yeah.
And they have to be registered voters. So you got to get them out to vote now. Register to vote now. They have to be registered to vote in the primary. And we know they're not registered because you have people 17 turning 18 every day. We know they turning 18 every day. Them high school students, you should be in the schools registering people to vote right now. How do you think you're going to win anything and you don't have your people registered to vote?
Well, that's one thing. He was premature about talking about what the court going to do because they haven't made no decision yet.
Well, we
Hopefully,
don't know that.
Well, I haven't seen nothing where they made no decision.
Okay.
And you better believe when they make it, you're going to know about it because it's going to be all in the paper.
Well, I didn't hear anything on the radio today coming in. But, you know, ladies and gentlemen, one thing, look, we've made a lot of progress in the courts. Now it don't seem like it's making the progress because people aren't citing
the Constitution.
The Constitution, they're not citing the right issues in the law. When we point out the Supreme Court case over the drainage and it's in our favor, it's in the church's favor, what is there to talk about?
Nothing really.
Why is the man why don't he put the commercial, change the commercial, and say what the Supreme Court says on the radio? Instead of all this crying and begging, oh, please help us with the mayor. The law's on our side. Well, would you get off your knees if the law's on our side? Why are we begging the man? And here's the whole thing. The downtown development does not have the authority. They do not have the legal authority. We talking about the DDA, the Downtown Development Authority, with that crook we got for mayor, Mike Duggan. Oh, he's not a crook, man. Anytime you steal $100 million, they can't account for it. What do you call it? What do you call it? Well, you must have voted for him. He must have been the right man for you.
Sure wasn't the right man for me.
Hey, they were the right man for you, right? Okay. You crooked too. Carla, you on there. Hello, Carla. Go right ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go right ahead. Talk.
I can't hear you, bro.
Talk.
We can hear you. Talk.
Shall I go ahead and speak? I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead. Are you going to call us back? Call us back.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. Call us back. Carla, you on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Tyrone was so right, but besides that, I would like to get the people registered for my right, because that's my.
Well, get them registered. How you gonna register? We don't care what they do once they get registered. Since
it's just a figure of speech. Because I want my right. That's the only thing gonna change. I keep telling y'all people that. But hey, I wanted to mention.
Go ahead.
Did y'all hear, like you said, with your dirty mayor and corruption with this trash, this Rizzo. Last week, Charlie McDuff and his name is Steve. I forgot his last name. He's with that Floodrucker thing. Well, they was on the Mildred Gaddis show exposing the mayor, telling that he is under investigation, which I've been saying it for the longest. Don't y'all remember when it first started off, when the Rizzo first stuff started off? It was here in Detroit, and it was with Mike. It was with Duggan. Remember?
Yeah.
Do y'all remember that?
Go ahead. We remember.
Okay, it was with Duggan, right? Now, he called himself what I call, what they do all the time, is change and rearrange. They end up changing the trucks to GFI, and they painted them green. See, switcheroo. So who's overseeing that? Not only that, they still have those red Rizzo trucks around here. So you got two different trucks, two different companies, two different entities, or is it the same as they play their game? It's the same, they just switched the name. Now my point is, they went out in Macomb County and indicted all those guys, your attorney general, okay, indicted them guys to get the attention off of Detroit, your mayor, and this Rizzo stuff that was going on originally with him. Now, I don't know if y'all heard last week he was on the news with the reporter from Channel 7, and he sat up there and told a bald-faced lie as an analyst and a watchman. I don't know if y'all seen it, but the reporter asked him about Duggan's investigation, and he sat up there and said that, well, the first, and I'm quoting him, he said, yeah, the first phase of this investigation is over. What the hell do you mean by first phase, my man?
Well, he's not with
That's
the FBI.
what I want to know.
But he's not with
You
the
know?
FBI. How would he know? How would he know?
Exactly.
And
That's what he
maybe
said
he'll
on
be-
news. And he's lying through his teeth as an analyst. If they put one of these so-called professional, what they call them, the lie analysts, the people that can tell if you're lying or not, yeah, they would say the same thing. But my point is, he want to use the word, the first phase of the investigation is over. Okay. Then you notice he just indicted the guys up in Flint as another decoy to get the attention off of Duggan. But Charlie McDuff and Steve, my man Steve, they own his butt. They own him. And we going to get him too.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right.
Yeah, but there's one thing he said he's trying to get the spotlight off of Duggan. It's Snyder that he's worried about. And this is why he made more charges against Early and all the rest of them. But how do you really say that you sincere about doing something when it's Snyder policies that caused the whole thing? And not one time did he mention Snyder's name or said that it was Snyder's policy
Who is that?
caused
Who is
it.
the he you talking about?
Oh, Mr. Schuette, Attorney General Schuette, who wants to be governor.
Well, that's how it goes. Why would he talk about his buddy?
Well, I just think that people need to know that and understand, a lot of people look at it and think, oh, he's doing such a good job. But no, he knows that these were Snyder's policies that caused this hit, but he won't say it. So that just let you know he's just playing game. He's just playing politics.
Well, that's what they do all
He's
the
not
time.
serious.
Caller, you on the air?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Go right ahead.
Okay. Yeah, those two brothers before me right on point. Tyrone is right. We have to find other ways to get this thing done, but I don't think we should just throw away the courts, because it was the state courts that said that Duggan wasn't eligible to run for mayor. So there was a fight that that we had that made Duggan had to go through the back door to become mayor, which was the write-in candidacy, and they, didn't count the votes right. So the courts had some relevance in that sense. I want to ask you, brothers, too. I read piece of this lawsuit for the injunction in the federal court. Stop funding for the Pistons arena and other things, using public money inappropriately. But the judge, the federal judge, said since the Michigan Supreme Court ruled twice that you can't use monies that the voters allocated for one reason for another, shouldn't this be heard in state court? And I want to ask you guys, should they have put this before a state court? And secondly, I want to just say, and I'll listen to your answer off the air, is that we need to underscore courage over courtesy. And I say that because there's entities within our beloved TV 33 that's working against our best interests. They sit in the same chairs that you do right there. We shouldn't have that kind of foolishness. We have to call these people out. We can't be, let's be courteous. No, let's be courageous. This enemy's right amongst us, and we need to let them know that they are the enemy too, working for the enemy. And you know who I'm talking about. It's a handful of them there. So I'll if you can comment on that's the situation about this case should have been heard before state court instead of federal court. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.
Okay, thank you. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I would believe the whole thing is you can be courageous and courteous. Martin Luther King was definitely courteous, and he was definitely courageous in his fight
Some people say you might be too
against injustice.
courteous.
What you say? He might have been too courteous. Well, look, we have to be intelligent about this, and we're in a country that says they believe in freedom of speech, and whatever somebody else believes, they're free to that belief.
That's right.
You know, and so we're not going to convince everybody to follow us. There's people that don't disagree with us. So that's just the way it rolls. Let me say it like that. That's the way it rolls. So they are expressing their ideas, their free speech, and maybe with a dialogue you can reach them. Maybe you can turn them from the dark side, if that's what you consider that to be the dark side. You know, as they say in Luke Skywalker, they want to turn you from the dark side. Don't go down that path. But we have to have a dialogue. We have to have a discussion, a rational discussion. And I'm going to tell you what I really believe now. Regardless of what you think about the individuals, anywhere in the discussion, other people are listening. And if you want to persuade people to come to your way, then you've got to be intelligent about it. You've got to be courteous about it. You can call a person a buffoon or some other names or a cretin. So what you're going to have to do is raise your vocabulary to insult them where they don't know they've been insulted. They just feel like, oh, I know he said something. He talking about me again, but I can't let on that I don't know that. So you have to be intelligent about it. And we have to be courteous in the process. Because you want to win people over, you want to point out which way to go. And that's what we're having here today, is this great debate. This great debate in the 21st century. It's not going to die down. The crowd, something is going to be a clear path that everybody will know which way to go. Everybody will know which way to go. It may be too late. It normally is for us, isn't it? We should have went that way. We should have went the other way. So, no, it's nothing wrong with the debate. And we got to have the debate because people want to know. And so on the debate, it's going to be both sides. That's what you have in a debate. You got opposing views. And let them defend their position like you are defending your position. If somebody calls up in here, we let them talk. We let them talk long as they don't go to talking about shooting and get to cursing and all that old crazy stuff. And we not going to, you can't sit up here and tell us about, well, we got to shoot this one, we got to have a riot. Nope, we're not having any riot. The last one wasn't a riot. It was a rebellion that the other folks started. See, we need to sit back and analyze this stuff. Well, who benefit? If it was a riot, if it was a rebellion, who benefit? Wasn't us. Those store owners on Dexter and 12th and Grand River and all over right in that little area, they left with insurance money. They were able to get out and retire. Some of them went to Florida. Some of them opened up another drugstore or something in Oak Park or Southfield or somewhere. But other people, they just went back and retired, had a good time with that easy money. So we got to look past all this jive that they talking about. And one thing that those disturbances or rebellions did that happened across the country was to get those Republicans elected to the White House as president.
You know what? You said a key word that I haven't heard in a long time. And when you said something, disturbance, that's what they was calling it back then.
A disturbance.
The disturbance. They didn't even call it a rebellion until later on. And when you said that, the little light come on. So we have to be careful, because they trying to redefine what really happened then to justify to say that it was a riot. When there are two different, it's a difference between a riot and a rebellion.
Well, you know why. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna tell you why it's not. It's never gonna be a riot. They don't pay off. Look at your insurance policy. The insurance companies don't pay off in a riot.
Nope.
They don't pay off if it's a war. You're in a war zone, insurance companies get by scot-free. They don't pay off. They don't pay off any riot. They don't pay off for suicide. Somehow in Japan they get money for suicide.
What?
Oh yeah. But they don't pay off over here. So they don't pay off in America for suicide. Insurance companies. They don't pay off for riots. Insurance companies don't give you a dime, and they don't give you a dime for a rebel, for a, what was that, the riot? The war. They don't pay off for wars, and they don't pay off for suicide. Read your insurance policy. It's in there.
Yes, in there.
It's in there. They don't pay. That's why it's not called a riot. It's a rebellion. Oh, well, they tell us it's a riot. That's the newspaper. That's the fiction they're trying to give you. Why don't you Google Governor Romney? Well, I don't know what you'd call it. When he called it a riot and the newspapers jumped on him. You could call it Governor George Romney criticized for calling the rebellion a riot. It'll pop up, Detroit News, Detroit Times, whichever one comes up, Free Press, but 3 newspapers back then. They jumped on him. They hooped and hollered, was the governor crazy? He was out of his mind. We thought he had some sense. Oh, they talk about Romney bad. And they spelled out why it couldn't be a riot, and I just told you. I read it in the paper. Y'all better read the paper. They telling you a whole lot of stuff in the paper. On the lawsuit. When you go to federal court, the young man says, and we're not lawyers. Let me say that right now. I'm not a lawyer.
Right.
Carl's not a lawyer. We're going to tell you what the law says, though, and we're going to tell you from a historical. Let's say we in a political science class. I don't want nobody to say, well, them guys practicing law. We practicing law. We ain't in court. Look, I can tell you what the law says, and you can look it up for yourself. When you go to federal court, you're stating a 14th Amendment claim if you're talking about a state government. State of Michigan, the cities in the state of Michigan refuse to follow their own law, their own constitution, that is a violation of the 14th Amendment. When the state does not apply their own laws fairly and equally to their citizens. So they have to cite that. If they didn't cite that, they gave the judge all kind of leeway because he's asking them a question in so
That's
many
right.
words. Shouldn't you be in state court? No, I'm not in state. Well, so they didn't cite the 14th Amendment as their jurisdiction to get into court, or they're not citing the fact that their state or the city of Detroit, they are not following their own laws, their own constitution.
You're right.
The DDA does not have that authority. They can't do anything for the Red Wings. The downtown development, what they're doing is illegal. They're not going to call us and say that. They're not going to call up in here and have a debate. Mike Duggan is not going to come on our show and act a clown. He's not going to make, they don't, he'll be a different man when he leave here. They're not coming on it. Why? Because that's what the law says. The law says that the Downtown Development Authority has to have a contiguous landmass. It cannot cross the freeway. Contiguous means a landmass with no interruptions, no rivers, no freeways in it, no streams, no rivers. So, by law, they cannot do that. There's a Michigan Supreme Court case we've been trying to look up. Read that many, many years ago. If you follow the law, if you read some of the stuff for yourself, check it out, you will see. Those people that's filing the lawsuit just don't know. They think they know. And we've said it all the time. The lawyer is a double agent. He's a spy for the other side. It's a double agent. It's a lot of money involved, right? So he can put something in there wrong. Here, look, we got to get a copy. I keep telling you, Carl, we got to get a copy of the lawsuit. We got to take time, go down there and get a copy of the lawsuit so we can read it, and then we can come back and tell you what it say, point A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. But we haven't read the lawsuit. Sight unseen, we know what they do normally. We know what the double agents do.
Never change.
We know they never put the stuff in there. We remember the Cobo Hall lawsuit when they didn't put the issues in there. What did they file for? Superintendent control.
Right.
They filed for superintendent control when that was not allowed in that lawsuit. And so they were, and the judge told them, you're not going to put this on me. Judge told them, you're not going to put this on me. Y'all got to go back and change this. This isn't right. Under that, what they filed it for in the superintendent control, the judge, under that rule, had to dismiss the lawsuit. Now, why would the city of Detroit come in and file something for the judge, stating the judge had to dismiss the lawsuit? We peeped that. Tyrone might remember that. You know, Tyrone got some law books over there at the house. Get you a law book. Get you a court rule book. That's the main one you need, the court rule.
Court rule book and your constitution.
And your constitution, and you get with your friends, a little group, and y'all start going over the stuff, and you'll be surprised.
Oh, you're going to be amazed.
You'll be amazed that it's called giveaway money. You're just giving the lawyers your money. And you see the games they're playing. They don't care nothing about us. When they come up with this crazy stuff and somebody say, well, what about this law? I said, what about it? What about it? Them black folks don't know what they doing, and you for real? Well, they could go get a lawyer. They fell out laughing. They don't respect black lawyers. Black lawyers don't respect themselves. How they going to respect themselves when they won't cite the law? They scared. It's just like these guys working for the mayor. What they want, a bologna sandwich? They need a job? But they so smart. They got all them degrees. They call doctor. but they need a job. They begging a man for a job, and he don't know what he doing, but he got enough sense to steal the money. He got enough sense to get his three buddies up there, them contractors, three contractors, and give them almost, they just divided the $100 million. Now he getting some of that. Homeridge, what they say, Homeridge getting $48 million. Was it $43 million? $43 million, $43.8 million. And he said it from the beginning. And you were surprised. My. Man told you to your face. He went through the Donald Trump. He told you to your face. You call him a liar, right? Well, he didn't lie about that money that him and his buddies were splitting. He didn't lie about that money he was giving his buddies. Caller, you on there. Go right ahead.
Yes, Hassan, I called back real fast to say when I ended to saying that we need to organize the common people to carry out direct action. And you said we should vote. Well, let me say this. Currently, right now, the reality is the voting does not count in Detroit because the Financial Commission in Lansing controls what the legislator does on city council, and they did it twice. On raising the water rate, they said no. City council said no. They said yes, and city council had to change because they controls what goes on, and the state controls the income tax. So I'm initiate a debate with you that currently, not what the legislators should do. Currently, our vote really don't have no power or integrity, so therefore voting is not the way out. And though other callers who says about whether you should go to Supreme Court, let me say this. Law is nothing but the will of those who control the economy. They can break it and they can carry it out at their will, and that's what they've been doing. So talking about whether you know the Constitution, we've seen over 19 years going to court, and I can say this. When they went to court, we haven't won not one time, so I'm initiating a debate with you and call again. The court is not the way to go, and voting is not the way to go to solve our problem currently right now.
All righty, thank you.
No, I wish he hadn't.
What?
Took him off there. I wanted to ask him something.
Well, you can ask him now. You can call back.
No, that's all right. I don't want him to take up this whole show.
Caller, you on there.
Hey, I wanted to say one other thing too. Being that y'all just said what y'all said as far as Duggan and the lawyers, the DDA is breaking the law. Is there a way you could get in touch with Deanna Wilcoxon or what's his name? Robert
Davis.
Robert
Davis.
Davis, yeah. If you could get in touch with them so they can start this lawsuit procedure.
Well, we'll try to. All right, thank you.
All right.
Caller, go right ahead.
Yes, I do want to say that the brother was right, that voting is not the way, lawsuits are not the way, and nor is religion the way. All three of those venues have failed or got us Pyrrhic victories. I want to go back to something that you said a couple of weeks ago when you were reading out the physics book and talking about it in terms of principle, and continue with what the brother was saying about calling folk out. You have what's called in physics an inertial frame of reference. And that simply means that if you were riding in the car, and let's suppose all the windows were blocked the way you couldn't see where you were going, you wouldn't know how fast you were going. You wouldn't know where you were going. You wouldn't know if you were moving forward or backwards because you were within the inertial frame of reference, the environment of the situation. So you have to step out of the situation to really get a good idea of what's really going on. And as long as you're trying to analyze it from what's in the situation, you're in the environment, and the environment is constantly giving you signals that the environment you are in works. And if you just do this within the environment, if you do that within the environment, you're going to get some kind of relief. It's not going to happen. You got to step out of it. So the brother was talking about calling individuals out. we're so fragmented that will just be self-destructive completely. You're going to have to get a principled approach that transcends personalities. When your politics, when your whole thing is about politics and money, people are going to naturally begin to see, when they see I'm not getting any traction out of talking, so they're going to start selling themselves anyway. That's just the way it works when you're in an environment like that. So I just want to say, people, you're going to have to step out that environment for a moment to see what's really going on and get a bird's eye view. You're going to discover that there are a lot of little factors that you're not taking into account that's influencing your situation, and the problem would be solved simply by stepping out of that environment for a moment and taking a different look from a different perspective.
All
Thought
right.
I'd just bring that into the discussion.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Well, Carl, his car, he rolled it up the windows. He did say that, didn't he? He rolled it up the windows. And he disconnected the speedometer. So he wouldn't know how fast he was going. Well, he was in an experimental lab then. Probably didn't have no tires on it. Just sitting there, you know. But
He was
look,
in a
ladies and
controlled
gentlemen.
environment.
Yeah, that's what it is, a controlled environment. But ladies and gentlemen, so that's what we're talking about. The folks that don't want to vote, well, they don't vote. But they can't, the gains that we have gotten as people were from voting. Those were the gains that we got. Now, if you didn't get your part of the gains, well, that's one of those things. Everybody didn't get it, but there were enough people that got it that we know to vote. Somebody's going to be in those offices. And see, here's something, it's almost ridiculous when somebody tells you don't vote. Because the office holders that were put in there from voting, guess what? They're divvying out the money. They're cutting up the pieces of pie, and they're dishing it out to their constituents, and you're not one of the constituents because we know you didn't vote. They know you didn't vote. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's what a real sense is. So if we want some of these tax dollars, we got to vote. We got to get in there and muscle our people in and get the other guy out. Look, this is the fastest hour anywhere. I don't know where the time goes, but it goes. It's flying. We got to get out of here. I'm your host, Hassan Aline.
Co-host Carl Williams.
Tune in next week. Fastest hour in television anywhere. Until then, peace.